Well, man, welcome back, Jimmy. This is awesome. You were
Yeah,
on.
we're talking too much about everything else.
No, that's fine. You know, I went and rewatched some of the episode. We did a lot of talking. It was awesome. So much I didn't even get to ask you my final question on the last show, which I normally go back to look at what you answered for when people come back. But that's okay.
Right.
But you were on episode 58, so that was a few months ago, 7 months ago. It tells me
58 or 57 or
you were on episode 58.
58.
So,
okay.
Yep. And this will be episode, I'm not sure, probably like 127 or so. So I got a couple to release here soon. But you're back because we're talking about the Kickstarter launch and I'm assuming it's going to be in print too, but the artillery is going to trade. So that's exciting. How did everything go with the, artillery and everything, the single issue run?
It went okay. Invader Comics, they were very happy with the turnout, with the orders and the reviews and all, and it's fine. It's weird for me because it's like this thing for me is like old.
Right.
This thing's like, going on 6, almost 7 years old now for me. It just sat around for for a while. And so for me, I'm already working on other stuff. So it's kind of interesting to be talking about a book I did like 5 years ago.
Right.
but
Well,
it's
I know
out
we
now,
picked.
so that's
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So what are you working on? Can you share what you're working on? Is there anything coming down the pipeline?
Well, yeah, and it's just like with artillery, I'm just gonna do the entire thing at once. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm on issue like 3 out of 5. So for this whole story thing, and it's just a kind of a supernatural romance kind of a thing. So I just wanted to have fun with the different genre, the romance genre,
Yeah.
kind of a thing. So yeah, it just involves this woman trying to help her husband who's in a coma. And the only way she could really reach him, because he's like in this purgatory because he's in a coma, and the only way she could reach him is through this mystical food truck. So there's this food truck that shows up in the parking lot or whatever, and it feeds all the souls that are waiting for their answer of where they're going to go next. Wherever, heaven, hell, coma, whatever. And so she helps the food truck because the food truck can help her husband get better. So they are literally serving soul food on this food truck because they're feeding all these souls. So that's kind
That's
of
awesome.
that's kind of the name of the story, is Soul Food. But it's feud,
And
not food, because there's a fight over what's going on with the food truck. So that's the long and skinny of it. Yeah.
my
So
neighbor
yeah.
would love that. He has like 3 food trucks over here.
Really?
So yeah,
What's he got on his trucks?
he has soul food actually. So he is southern, good old southern cooking soul food,
Yeah.
right? And
There you go.
he has like 2 trucks and a trailer, and like him and
Wow.
his son and his wife are all over the place, so around, Raleigh, North Carolina. They go up to Virginia, South Carolina too, so it's
Wow.
crazy. They do
Nice.
a lot. They get like big semi truck food deliveries. It's crazy to their garage.
Jeez.
They do so much food. Yeah, it's crazy
They must
how
have some
much food.
serious storage.
Yeah, they must have a lot of freezers. We lost a freezer this week and just got a new one put in today, but
Uh-huh.
that was expensive, losing a freezer,
Mm.
but full of food, But is there any kind of publishing for this yet, or just gonna sit
No,
on it until something happens?
yeah, I that's starting to become my new MO. It's like, I have a story idea. I'm just gonna do it. I'm not gonna worry about how it's gonna get out or who it's gonna go to. I'm just gonna do this story and not worry about editorial or about, making sure I'm on certain schedules or, because publishers, they have all these schedules and everything. Uh, because they have to line it up with the printer and all that stuff.
Right.
They can't
Yep.
just, you can't just throw it out anytime. They have to get the best. When you're doing multiple books, like if you're a publisher like Image or something, or Boom or Dark Horse, you're running multiple books a month, and the best deal is to gang up all those books into one big press run. Because
Right. Right.
instead of running that press just for one book, you run that you run that four color press for multiple books. And so,
Right.
yeah, you get on a schedule, and you got deadlines, and I'm like, I don't want to chase all that stuff. I'm just gonna kick back, do my thing, and then when it's done, it's done.
Right.
Kind
And
of
then you
thing.
can send it out to somebody, see if they want it. Right.
Yeah, I can send it to somebody and see if they want it. Now, I can say, hey, and it's all done.
Yep.
If
Here
you
it
want to do a
is.
monthly thing, there's no deadlines, and I'm not going to blow any deadlines or anything. It's all done.
That's
So,
probably some of the best advice. I mean, that's what we did, right? Like I finished my
right,
book
right,
and
right.
I've got to when we stop recording, help remind me we're waiting on the upload. I want to get, if I can, get an address. I'd love to send you one because you allowed me to use artillery in the book,
Of
right?
course, yeah,
And I'd love
yeah.
to send you one as a thank you for us allowing us to do that. Um, that's been a huge hit. Like is with everybody we explain that to is when they get to look inside it and see like all the covers in it. And I
Right.
have I have a copy right here. I just happen to have one on my desk.
Of
So
course, Panel Pete's there.
yeah. But on like the first page inside the cover, I have a whole list of, everybody that allowed us to use their book and stuff. So you're listed in here. Let me make sure before I lie to you. I'm pretty sure you are, but that would be bad. Yeah, there you are, Jimmie Robinson, Artillery. So your cover is
Yay.
in the book. So I do want to send you one. We did the Kickstarter, and like I said, like kind of like you though, I think it was probably part of your advice from the last time we talked. I waited till I was done with all the art, and then
Hmm.
my daughter and I got to go to the print shop ourselves because a friend of mine owns the print shop in Michigan, and
Great.
we were able to do every step. It was so cool because we got to just sit there and just touch and feel paper and pick the paper, right? And then we get sample prints, and then we picked the
Nice.
paper, ordered it,
Hmm.
came in
Hmm.
the next morning. We got to do every step. Got to hit print on. We didn't use it wasn't an offset printed it because it was a lower print run, right?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
But we got to hit print on the machine. We got to cart it over to the big chopper to cut it all to
Oh,
size and
did
feed
all
it
your
through
bindery.
yeah, I got to feed like everyone through the machine that stapled it and
Uh,
trimmed it and folded it. So it was a really cool experience for especially for my daughter to see all that.
yeah, that's invaluable,
And
man. That's
so
invaluable.
I'm hoping to kind of put together a little documentary on that. I keep saying it and I've worked on it a little bit, but I'm going to do it this summer. That's my big summer project. So and
Good.
just do a little
No, good. That's great, man.
project on that. But yeah, it went great. I loved it. I mean, it's so much fun to do conventions and meet people and be able to like give people the book and or sell the book. We try to sell the book instead of giving it, but but there's a few people I owe a copy to, like yourself, and we were able to
Mhm.
give Stephanie Phillips because she let us use one. So we were able to give her one last weekend at HeroesCon. So that
Very
was really
cool.
cool. Um,
Very cool.
have you done any conventions? Or I know the last time you talked about you wanted to possibly do Heroes in the future or something like that.
Yeah, I still like to do something like Heroes just because I've never been, kind of thing. But no, I haven't done any conventions. And matter of fact, I was just invited as a guest to a convention in my local area, and I kind of turned it down. I couldn't do it because
No.
well, um, my wife is scheduled for knee surgery.
Oh,
And so
gotcha.
around the same time, her mobility is going to be gone pretty much while she recovers.
Right.
So I'm going to be her everything during those couple of weeks, and I didn't want to like just say, "Hey, see you later. I'm going off to the convention."
Right.
Hope you can get out of bed.
Yeah, I know that. I have to schedule usually somebody to come over and take my place, with my parents and to be
Yeah.
able to go cuz like we went last Saturday for just the day. We live about 3 hours from Charlotte.
Hmm.
So We left, super early in the morning and, got home late that night, but it was a
Right.
great day. I'm actually, tomorrow I'll release the episode. We talked about it yesterday. We recorded my
Oh,
daughter
cool.
and I talking about our experience and her Scotty Young sketch cover she got and her Stephanie Phillips signature she got. She was so
Hmm.
excited. So
Hmm.
she had a great time. That's what
Yeah.
was more important to me, as dad,
Right.
right?
Right.
Make
Right.
sure she had a good day. But yeah, we gotta get you when you're all guys are all better. We gotta get you to some conventions. That'd be so much fun.
Yeah, like I said, I've never done HeroesCon. I've always heard so much good about it, how it focuses on comics,
Hundred
you
percent. It
know.
was amazing. I was
It's like
shocked.
so what did it feel like being behind the table?
Well, I didn't have a booth at Heroes, but I have had a booth. We will have a table at Terrificon in Connecticut
Mm,
in August.
right.
Mike Algier, my artist, him and I are sharing a table, which is going to be amazing. So,
Hmm.
um, but I've done 4 or 5 shows, a couple local 1 day shows, and then we went to Michigan for a big Cherry City Comic Con.
Hmm.
Um,
I think that's the one you have video on.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
some video there. Yep. And that was a lot of fun because that's where the book was printed, right? So
Hmm.
that's where my
Hmm.
buddy was. So able to tie that piece into it. And it's
Right.
just, like everybody says, nobody knows who we are, which is fine. You have to talk to people. You can't just sit there behind the counter. We're not Jimmie Robinson. We can't sit behind the table and just, wait for people to come up to us, you
Yeah,
know.
trust. I still have to talk. I've lost a lot of my credibility as Jimmie Robinson.
Right. But they do a good job at those shows, like Heroes, right? Because it
Hmm.
is comic. They have 1,000 artists there, or writers, or whatever. Everybody's got a banner with what they worked on, and behind them. So we got to see some really cool people. Um, some people we couldn't, like, the line was wrapped around the building, like Walt Simonson. I
Oh
want
yeah.
was going to try to meet him, and like, nope,
Right.
couldn't
Right.
touch that line.
Wow.
I mean, we waited probably an hour and a half, just over an hour for Scotty, about 45
Hmm.
minutes for Stephanie. So, I mean, it is what it is. But we got to walk and see Stephanie Williams. She's got nominated for an Eisner here recently,
Wow.
which was cool. Um, but yeah, we got to meet a lot of people. There's so much fun just talking to people and telling them about the podcast. You develop that script, right? That script that your pitch, right? It's like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
we hand everybody one of these little cards. We make these little cards with different people in the background that we've had on the podcast, and I think
Right.
you're in some of them. Yeah, you're in
Huh?
this one. You're on here. See, I'm using you for marketing. See right there behind my daughter. So,
Excellent. No, that's
uh,
perfect. Perfect.
so we hand everybody one of these cards that walks by the table, we're like, yeah, my daughter and I do this cool comic podcast, and
Hmm.
we interview guests, and I was inspired to write a comic book, and then I have, the display in front of me of all the comics, and it's like, and they're like, oh, this is really cool. So we've done okay. I mean, we're not gonna, like, become millionaires doing this comic thing, but
No.
we're
No.
lucky to
No.
break even.
That's
So,
good. That's good.
you
But
know,
but the thing is, you did it, and that's the real achievement right there.
exactly. I
So
did
many
it.
people talk about doing it and don't do it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the benefit of it. So what's new in the world of Jimmie Robinson since the last time we talked?
Well, like I said, I'm doing a supernatural romance. Sticking around with my fairy houses on my street.
All right. I
Still.
wanted a fairy house update.
Yeah, I've had a couple of interviews. NPR has done something. Magazines have covered it, and we've got. I had some kids up from a summer camp, so I did a little talk to them with them and whatnot, and I went to a camp to demonstrate. Blah blah blah. So I've been
Very
keeping
cool.
up with that, and people are still having fun, and I'm still building fairy houses and rebuilding them because they keep falling apart.
Right.
But yeah, that's all. It's the thing that keeps me going when
Yeah.
I'm not drawing, kind of a thing. And I haven't done a lot of drawing lately, which is which is worrying to me, AJ. I've been like slacking on the art. You know,
Any
writing.
reason?
I don't know. I mean, I've been writing, and you know what I'm thinking of doing? I'm thinking of writing a story and then hiring an artist, like
Ooh,
collaboration. And I
yeah.
normally haven't done that. So I don't know. Right now I have another story idea I'm working on, and I'm thinking, instead of I should just find an artist. And I have no idea how to do that. I mean, you found an artist, but I
I did. I can give you a couple names that would probably
uh,
love to work with you, but it was a challenge, right? Talking about that, it's like, but it was just it kept being. I kept talking about it on the podcast, and just
right, right.
you keep talking about it, like you almost I think manifest it, right? In the that's I kind of that's happened a lot in my life. If I want something or need something, it's like I just keep talking about it, keep thinking about it, and it just you kind of set your mind to start working your way to get it, and then it happens, right? It may not be overnight, right?
Right,
Um right now it's okay, what am I doing with my future? Like here I am 44 years old, restarting my life again, right? Getting laid
right.
off, the business closing and everything. It's
Hmm,
like
hmm.
the last month and a half has been, oh God, like I'm 44. I need to figure out, but I haven't stopped this, right? I keep,
Right.
if not, I've done more of this, right? I'm trying to pour
Good.
more energy into the videos, the funnier videos, like we're doing the sketch stuff now here and there,
Hmm.
like the
Yeah, the
trendy,
skits.
trendy stuff, skits, which are
Yeah, the
fun.
skit. Hmm.
Some get great views. Some, like the one yesterday, got none. It was crazy. I can't figure it out. Social
Yeah,
media.
yeah. The algorithm is a mystery to everybody. So
But yeah, I love that idea. Write and hire an artist, do a collaboration. I highly recommend it. I got lucky, hiring
uh,
Mike. Um, and I mean Mike and Colin Hawkins too. He did a couple of he did the Thor cover. Um,
right,
he just it started as fan art, right? He did this like panel Pete as Thor because he knows I'm a huge
right.
Thor fan, and I was like, well,
Hmm,
you got to turn that into a cover, like And so he did. He did a like facsimile of Journey into Mystery '83, the first appearance of Thor, and
right.
he's done a He-Man version of it for me. And he wants to do a bunch more. And just that collaboration is just so much fun, especially when you get somebody that you trust. Because I mean that's a big one, right? Is you don't want somebody that's going to take your money and run. I heard
Yeah,
those horror
or
stories.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. The only time, well, I've done two collaborations over my 30 years, and one just didn't work at all because he had problems at his home. So
Right.
going through a divorce and all this stuff, and he completely bailed on us. And that was an Image book. You know,
Wow.
yeah. I pitched the whole
Wow.
thing. They greenlit it and everything, and we're all set up and ready. And he's like, I don't think I can do anything because my job and my wife, I got to move. I got this, the divorce and all that. And I was like, wow.
Yeah,
but
that's crazy.
that's important. There are important things that go on in life, and comics is fun, but it should not supersede, taking care of yourself, mental health, family, career, job, whatever. I mean, you got to still live and survive in this world because comics aren't paying anything.
Right. Yeah, we're
I
not
mean,
gonna get rich off this.
exactly, yeah. So yeah, I mean yeah, I fully, I got it and all that. The only thing is the publisher was not happy because like I said before, they have to schedule all this stuff, announce it. It was like this is going to come up our next. They're like a year and a half ahead. They know what's coming out in 2028 and stuff.
Right.
So it's like if you bail on them, it's like what the hell, man. Now we got to find a book for that. So it's.
Right.
I felt sorry at the same time, but yeah, collaborations. I'll figure it out. I mean, that's just rattling around in my head.
Yeah. Well, if I can help in any way, let me know. I'll be glad to. I'm not an artist. I'm trying. We started making zines, little ones. My daughter's making, I thought I had one here. I'm sure I do somewhere. But my daughter made a little, 8-page little folded zine, right? This is one that's not folded yet, but she took this and we saw one at a convention, and
Right.
she was like, "How'd they make that?" And so I came home and I folded the paper, showed her how, it was folded, down and everything. And I handed it to her blank. She came back an hour and a half later with a fully illustrated 8-page story. And I was
Good.
like, that's amazing.
Hmm.
And so now we're playing with that. So my goal, and I bought a sketch pad and I've been kind of doing some, just tracing and just trying to learn something, you know. My goal is to make a little 8-page zine, hopefully before the end of the year. So
Yeah.
that'll be
I
cool.
no, the zines are are so important. You have no idea, man. I mean, I did zines as well, and I collected zines in the '90s. I mean, some of the books I really liked came from zine. And I remember when my brother was God, I think was the name of that zine. Really hard to find, but I love that thing. And one of the characters in it, I just liked so much. I had based a lot of Bomb Queen on this one particular character. The way her quips were, the way she was talking, or it just had this kind of it's inspirational kind of like, man, that woman is commanding in the zine. And yeah, it was just a zine that was put out here locally in Oakland, you know.
That's really cool.
And I was just like, oh, I love that scene. And I was always looking for it at the comic stores. And yeah, I think they only made like 6 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, but yeah, yeah, man, that's exactly what it is. And that is literally making books. It's still making a book. It really is. A lot of people discount them, but you should never discount zines. It's still a good scene.
I think for me it'll be a huge accomplishment. I think if I get it pulled off. My daughter's working on her second. Now she's writing like a full comic script. She wants to do a whole
Mhm.
comic. I'm like, this is awesome. Hopefully,
Yeah.
she can pull that off. And even Mike, my artist, like everybody liked you, and you'll see when you get your copy of the book. But we have a lunch lady, because there's some scenes in the lunchroom, and we have a lunch lady, and we made a sticker out of it. And
Nice.
so now we had this whole idea of like who is this lunch lady outside of school? And so he made a zine of like tales of the lunch lady called the Iron Ladle, where she's like a John Wick character at night,
Uh-huh.
and then a lunch lady during the day. So like it's
Nice.
just so cool how we can all collaborate and work
Mm.
on these projects and expand these worlds. It's insane to me. It's
That's
really
great.
cool.
No, yeah, that's great. And you could take those zines to local comic stores, on consignment or whatever.
Oh yeah,
And
very
yeah,
true.
yeah. I mean, I've seen them. That's what I did in my early days. That's what I did. So and you'll be in the store just like everyone else.
That's
It's
right.
amazing.
I think the cool thing is my comic shop, they're gonna get a few copies of my book and put in there, so that's gonna be cool. We're gonna
All right.
do a signing. So, we're getting there slowly but surely.
And then that's the only way it's going to happen, really.
Right.
I mean,
Exactly. Here we go. So the last time, since the last time you were on the show, has there any like new comics that have stuck out to you?
not really. I gotta admit, I haven't been in the scene much, and that
Okay.
again, like Ben was saying earlier, I haven't been drawing much. It's really been freaking me out that I'm like, there's this one step removal from where I used to be in comics, and it feels really weird. I mean, yeah, it's and especially now with artillery coming out, I'm doing, all these interviews now, like with you and
Right.
others, and it's like I'm back in here, and I'm like, what the hell? What have I been doing in comics? And we're talking about a book again that's was done like 5 years ago.
Right.
So I've seen titles here and there, and I've read a few, but I've not followed through. Like I read one issue of this, or one issue of that. And then I see other things out in the road, and there's a whole new crop of creators out there. I have no idea who these people are, and I'm like, which
Right.
is great, which is
Yeah.
freaking great. I love that there's a whole new community coming up, your daughter included now. And that's the kind of stuff I'm like, wow, I'm just removed. I feel like the old guy at the club.
Well, maybe
So
doing these interviews will help motivate you to get back to it. Maybe.
yeah, I mean, and I wanted to check out some of the what's there was a couple of the is it the Incredibles or the Image Line, the Impossibles or the whatever. It's a group of
Invincible?
no, not Invincible. That's
Oh,
just a one person. There's a kind of a umbrella academy kind of a team,
okay.
and they're doing these books, and they're all solo books, but they're all from a team. I guess it's all their origin stories, and so I wanted to check out some of those. And that it's just yeah, it has at the very top, like from the irregulars or the I forgot the name. I'm totally spacing here. I love that when I get put
Yeah, I
on the
don't know.
spot. I'm like totally blank
Unfortunately, I
out.
had to I had to back off some of our buying when I, lost my
Yeah,
job. So I had to scale back a little bit. So before I was just whatever, I'll take this. This looks cool. This looks cool, and
right, right.
now I'm like, "Oh, I got to actually, let's budget here."
Yeah, no, no. Even when you have a job, dude, I'm telling you, comics are so expensive.
They are.
It's insane. The price point going up and up and up. I mean, and the quality it's different because the art could be anything now. I love that the art could be so all over the place. It used
Right?
to be, if you didn't draw like the Marvel house style, you weren't making a good comic. Now you could draw like anything, all kind,
Anything.
paint, pencil, just digital, all this other stuff. You can just have this fully realized concept around an art style I've never seen before. And I'm like, wow, I never thought I could see the X-Men look like that.
Right. Isn't that cool? My talking about the cover price though, or the increase in pricing, my daughter had the realization yesterday, and I didn't realize this either. I buy a bunch of the old Thor comics, but she's never really looked at it.
Hmm.
They just go in my box, but I'm reading one Thor a day. This year I started with 101 on January 1st because I was up to that point, and I'm reading
Hmm.
one a day. So I'm at 268. I read last night,
Wow.
and but I've been buying them like in the Epic collection books, and for whatever reason, the book I'm to right now, I couldn't get the book. It wouldn't be here in time and all this, but I had most of the single issues of what was in that book. So at
Okay.
HeroesCon, I bought the other like 4 issues, 5 issues I needed, so I'd have all of the ones I needed. So I'm reading single issue now for the next couple weeks. So I had them sitting over there next to where she sits because that's where I sit and read. And I was like, yeah, these are like 35. She just picked one up and she realized the cover price is 35 cents, in 1977. And she's like, you could buy 35 cents for a comic? And I'm like, yeah, now they're, $4, $6,
Yeah, exactly.
$7. She was just like, man, that would have been amazing. I was like, I know, right?
It was amazing.
It was back then, but not anymore. Now it's
Yeah,
35
yeah.
cents a page, if
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
if not more.
exactly. Yeah, we used to complain about what do you mean 35 cents? It's gone up to 50 cents? Oh my God. Now it's 75 cents. I can't believe it.
Right? Now it's 6.99.
Like, really? It's like, and people are buying it. I'm like, oh God, what? But I appreciate that in a way that they are still giving value to that work. So
Right.
that is cool. I do. I mean, I'm boggled by the
Right.
price point, but at the same time, I'm humbled that people do go out of their way and will pay that.
What
So,
was interesting to me last night as I was reading the single issue, there's so many ads, right? And like these
yeah,
tiny little ads, like all 2 pages full of, sea monkeys and weight loss and gain muscle. And I'm like,
right.
I was just sitting there trying to figure out, like, okay, these comics were only 35 cents, but how much was Marvel making off of these ads in these
Right.
books, you know? And because you don't see that anymore. Like, they might have an ad on the back or,
Hmm.
M&Ms or something, but you don't
Right.
see a whole lot. You do see ads, but they're for like other comic books in Marvel Universe, right?
Right.
So they're
Right.
not paying, Marvel ain't paying themselves to advertise another book, you know? So, I mean, I guess that helps with or reason why they still have a more expensive price now, and they're making, I assume, the same money because they're not selling a lot of advertisement anymore.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's a good question. I mean, the whole on the corporate level, Marvel, DC, and whatnot. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, yeah, just about every comic now, nobody's really running ads. Not
Right.
like they're not running ads like you're talking about. You remember the little, it's just like
Yeah.
a whole page of little columns of ads.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I don't see that anymore, which is a
Yeah.
shame in a way.
And there's 6 or 8 per page. Like, it's crazy, or 6 or 8 pages of throughout the book that
Yeah,
has that. It's,
yeah, it's
insane. I don't know when that stopped, or I don't know. Something I should dig into that and do a video about it.
that is a good question. When did that stop? I don't
You know,
know.
I'm not sure.
Huh, huh.
So some other fun questions. I asked you a bunch of fun questions the last time, and I've updated them a little bit. And then I get to ask you my last question that's just a repeat of the old one I will ask this time. So here's one. What comic character would you trust to watch your house while your wife's in knee surgery while you're away?
Well, I would like I guess Squirrel Girl. That would be
Okay.
cool because she's down to earth kind of a thing.
Yep.
You know, yeah, her and it was a Monkey Joe. Yeah, they would just like hang out and eat pasta,
Yeah.
and bread and all that. They're just like cook dinners and meals and yeah, they're kind of that low key superhero kind of a thing. It's not like the weight of the world is on their shoulders, like an Iron Man or something or Batman. It's like, oh my God, I gotta watch Jimmy's house, but I need to be out there doing blah blah. Like no, no. Give me somebody that can take a day off. And Squirrel Girl's like,
Right.
like, hey, I don't have to go there. I'll deal with that, on the weekend.
I love that. I love that answer.
Yeah.
What comic villain do you secretly kind of agree with?
Secretly kind of agree with. I guess Magneto in a way.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got, it's the whole, it's almost like a racial thing with him. Is just like, they see us this way kind of a thing. The world's
Right.
against us and they're gonna abuse us or they're gonna, yeah, whatever us or we need to have our own independence and show them that we're not to be whatever and you know I can kind of agree with that. It's kind of taken to the extremes with him. You might say he's like the Malcolm X of super villains. He's like, yeah, we need guns. we need to weaponize. We need to arm ourselves. We need to, have a Black Panthers. We need to like get out there and show them we're not gonna take any shit. Already.
Right.
And it's like, and this is the good guys. Like, yeah, this is the good guy. And I mean, yeah, that makes some points, but you also got to live together still, kind of thing.
Right.
Don't want to live in fear. Like, okay, I respect you. I respect you now. I respect you now because you got weapons.
Respect by force.
Exactly. Yeah. So I kind of like you're saying, kind of agree with or
Right.
kind of
Kind of.
align with. I
Yeah.
I understand his motivation and I empathize with his situation of being, a mutant in a world that's against him. But yeah, I that's where kind of where the alignment kind of stops because I can't see, if the card you drew in life was bad, then that's but he didn't get dealt that card. I mean, he got kind of turned. him and like just about all the X-Men there. Well, no, some mutants were actually born that way. They were literally born that way. They had a mutant gene that, when they became an adolescent, came out or something like that. Manifested. So some people were really literally born that way. So, but that's the card that was dealt to them. Some of us, we also get dealt bad hands, all kinds of diseases we pick up later, cancer and all kinds of things comes our way.
Right.
I'm not sure I'm going to be mad about it against the world, but I'm sure some people do think that. They take it out on others.
Right.
Uh, yeah. Yeah. Magneto.
All
The
right, we'll
old
go with that.
Magneto. Yeah.
The old Magneto.
Yeah.
So last time I asked you where, if you could live in any comic book universe, what would you choose? You chose Gotham City.
Right.
This time I'm gonna say, if you could live, what world would actually be the worst one to live in, you think?
The worst one. Well, I guess.
Also Gotham City. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I guess the worst one would be God, what now? Wow, how could I blank on his name? Um, the villain who rules the country, Lithafia,
Doom?
Doom. Thank you,
Latvia?
Doctor
Yeah.
Doom. Yeah,
Yeah,
Doctor
Doctor
Doom.
Doom.
Yeah, yeah. He runs a country, and so yeah, that would be a weird place to live in and hard to live in because there's a lot of rules to follow, and I'm sure you're constantly being watched by his government.
Right?
you know,
Doom bots.
yeah, yeah. If you speak up or speak out too much, you're gonna stick out and you might just disappear.
Yeah.
No uprising gonna happen in Doctor Doom's country. No.
No. They try. They
Yeah,
try.
they will try. Yeah. So, but I mean, yeah, Doctor Doom would
Yeah.
be
I like that.
that kind of situation. Yeah, because that's the same thing with like Bomb Queen. She rules a city and it's just a city of crime, and I'm like, nope. I mean, that's a free, gun, free fire zone kind of a city. I mean, Doom runs a tight ship, so
Right.
you're not gonna act up in his city unless he allows it. Bomb Queen, she doesn't care if you kill yourselves. She doesn't care if everyone is screwing up and making a mess of the place or whatever. She's just like, that's why you're all here, because you're all idiots, and I have to. The city holds all the criminals and idiots of the world, and so yeah, act like an idiot. Just go ahead.
What you mentioned Bob Queen a couple times. Is it Jackrabbit or Jack?
Yeah,
What's
Junkrabbit's the new one.
Junk
Yeah,
Rabbit? Because
yeah.
after our last interview, I just now those names stick out to me, and like I saw some Junk Rabbit in my store locally, and I was like, hey, look, it's Jimmie Robinson stuff. That's pretty cool. I love seeing your stuff just out in the wild. I'm sure that's got to be cool to you too, right?
Well, yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun seeing it in the wild. It's fun. Um, going to like a used bookstore and somebody has turned it in. I was like, hey, I finished this graphic novel and now it's in the used bookstore selection,
That's
or something
cool.
like that. It's like the thrift store. You go to the thrift store and they have some books and comics, and one of your book is in a thrift store. It's like, wow, it did the whole circle of being published and going to the store and then being read and then being donated and now in a thrift store.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, it's yeah, seeing stuff in the wild is cool. Junkrabbit was a lot of fun, kind of a thing. That was kind of an experiment for me. That was only 5 issues. I think it was 4 or 5. I can't remember how many issues.
Right?
I mean, I'd written out a whole. I'd written out. I always write out farther than the initial story, so in case it gets up and is popular enough to have a sequel and all. So, but I don't think it warranted a sequel. So, I mean, I could have pressed for it, but I'm one of those people who are like, well, I got other ideas to work on, so so okay, I'm done. I'm gonna go
I
do this
always
other thing
wondered,
now.
and thrift store is probably a very similar thing. I always, because most comic shops have a dollar box, for their comics for
Hmm.
kids, so they can at least get a comic, right? And
Right.
I always like wondered what it would feel like if I saw like my comic in a dollar box, right? Like that, that'd be kind of neat, I think.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I said, you think about the entire circle of its life. It's like, writing your name on a dollar bill and then wondering all the places that dollar bill went through, all the different hands, all the people it helped, all
Right?
all the people that used it, that whatever, and then you see it again, and you're like, wow, it's that dollar bill. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like that, where you go like, wow, it's like it did a whole circuit, kind of a thing. And I was part of this community or whatever that, was part of the whole infrastructure of reading comics and whatnot. And here it is still, even in its last stage of life, in a thrift
Right.
store in a dollar box or whatever.
That's still pretty cool. That is really cool.
Yeah, it's an
Like
interesting feeling. Yeah. So yeah.
it's similar to like, the dollar story is like the dollar bill story is like, how small the world is. You run into
Yeah.
people like in the strangest places. I was at the Grand Canyon in 1998. I went on this big cross country trip, and I had lunch with this guy just because we were at this diner. I ended up sitting at this, like, the bar at a diner, and or the counter, right? And we had lunch, talked to each other, whatever. Like 3 weeks later, I'm standing at Old Faithful in Yellowstone National Park, and that guy came up to me and was like, "Didn't we have lunch a couple weeks ago?" I was like, "What? Like, how crazy is that?" You
That is
know?
crazy. Yeah.
So it's how small the world is. I love that.
Yeah.
All right, so I
That's
have to go
okay.
ahead.
No, no, no.
No,
I
all
was just gonna say,
right,
yeah, that's so true.
all right. So I have to ask you this because I didn't ask you last time. So this is usually my favorite question to ask. If your life were a comic book, what would the title be?
Yeah, yeah. What would the title be? I guess the misadventures of Jimmie Robinson,
The
kind of
Misadventures.
thing.
I
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, the misadventures, because there's just so much that I've done wrong or got wrong or had to learn the hard way.
Right?
There's all these things I did that didn't work out, and yeah, that's misadventures
All right. Well, I'll
with Jimmie
remember it
Robinson.
this time, and when you come on again in the future, I'll ask you again if it would change, if anything changes. So I
The
like asking.
misadventures.
Yeah, I like asking
Well,
those
yeah. Yeah, it might
updated.
change. You might be right. It might change to some fairy kind of a thing, or I
It
don't
could.
know.
You never know. You never know what happens in 6 8 months when you come on again. So when we get the supernatural book out and published. So
Yeah, yeah. Dude, when is the next HeroesCon anyway?
so it'll
In
be so it
Charlotte.
was last weekend, so it'll be June,
Oh,
like I got one. It's kind of crinkled because it was in my bag, but it's June 11th through 13th, 2027. They got a cool like Lady Thor cover for
yeah, I
Heroes,
see. Look
but
at that.
June 11th through 13th. So I'm gonna get on it now, but
Are you gonna try to get a table or something?
I'm gonna try to get a table,
There you
and
go.
I'm gonna plan on being there. We only got to go for the day,
Um, it's
but
only a 2-day show, right?
three. So it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like Friday evening,
Oh,
and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
okay, okay. Yeah,
Um,
you're right. Yeah, okay.
but it's, I mean, probably 10 minutes from the Charlotte Airport, International Airport. So
Oh, good.
if you flew to Charlotte, it's not, it's not far.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I've had this idea, and I don't know if it would work. I don't know how conventions would feel about it. But I've thought about doing this like as seen, which I've done a couple videos as seen on Talking Comics. So like, Jared Rowe, who did the Do Not Disturb book through Invader, and stuff like that. Like
Hmm. Hmm.
he sent me the fourth issue, so I've got that now. But like in Kate Wendell's Do Not Devil in the Herd, that one was really good if you haven't read it.
Yeah.
It
I
was
haven't read
so
that one
good.
yet. I had
Um,
not read that one. Yeah, that's why I love Invader taking his logs, these big swings
right.
across different genres. So Devil in the Herd. Okay, go on.
Yeah, well, I'll just say so. I did a video about her because like it came out like in shops like last week or the week before, And so I just did a quick video like, hey, reading it, here's some clips where she was on before, the show, because she was on the show, and just did a like 3-minute video. And I think it turned out well. So I'm going to keep doing those. Like I'll do one for you when the book, the artillery comes out, and I'll do one for, TS and stuff.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but I had this idea where I could do that at a convention where I could have like a bigger table, like maybe 2 tables, and
Wow.
do a as seen on Talking Comics, and get like try to get everybody's book there, like at the table, and then have like some of the authors or the illustrators come to the table and like sign at my table, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been toying with that. I don't know if it would work out, but it'd be expensive probably too. So I don't
Yeah, that
know.
would work out. I mean, I did that at San Diego Comic-Con. I forgot what year it was, but I bought 2 tables
Wow.
and we split it with like all these other artists so everybody could have a
Okay.
space at the table kind of a thing. And that was cool, but very expensive.
Yeah, very expensive.
And yeah, not everybody chipped back in, but it's one of those things where it's like splitting the tab at a dinner restaurant.
Right.
Not everybody's gonna pay the same amount they used, but
Right.
that's what you're talking about kind of reminds me of that,
Something
because it
like
was
that. Yeah.
promoted that way, that you could find such and such at such and such table. It wasn't like their table, but it was
Right.
my table, and you could find these artists at my table.
That's cool.
Kind of a
Right.
thing. Yeah. So yeah, it was interesting.
And if like we all chipped in on it, like you're saying, that might actually help with the expense.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. That'd be cool. I'd love to get you out there to HeroesCon. That'd be cool. I think it'd be a big, I
Hmm.
think I'd be big for you. And I will tell you this. We talked about motivation earlier.
Okay.
So it's not exactly the same, but it's the same. So when I used to do, prior to the comic world that I'm in now, years ago, like I had a game store. So sold board games, card games, that kind of stuff. I had a comic rack. I didn't have like, I wasn't a comic store. So I have some comics that I used to get because my older kid was into it at the time. Um, but I also used to do like miniature game accessories. I would make like mouse stuff out of mouse pad material for 2D terrain versus 3D terrain when you're playing tabletop miniature games. Because 3D terrain kind of gets in the way, it gets falls over. 2D terrain, you still get the representation of the board, but it's lays flat, right? So it's a little easier to manage. Um,
Hmm.
it was something. It was cool. It was something I did. But I would go to conventions, and I'd go to like, whatever. So I did all these conventions, and every time, and the biggest one being my distributor was in Nashville, and they did an open house once a year that was retailers only. So it
Hmm.
wasn't for open to the public, wasn't like a public convention. But all the store owners, they opened up, all the vendors come in, the game vendors. We would go, we'd get the cool samples of games, we get to play games, you get to meet other store owners, play games with them, have a great time. They'd open up the warehouse to shop, so we could buy. I used to buy all my cardboard stuff there, like card boxes, comic boxes, stuff like that, because it was so expensive to ship.
Hmm.
So, and then I'd drive home. But I was doing those conventions, all that long-winded, story to tell you. Doing those conventions was so like coming home from those. It's so motivating, right? To like get back on the horse, and like it
Right.
just rejuvenates you for the year, right? When I used to go to those conventions, and they were so much fun. I got new product, you know. I don't know, maybe I can kind of see it with the comics. It wasn't exactly the same because we were just handing out cards. I'm not like making a lot of money at them, but doing them, if I was like selling the book, it motivates me to want to do more, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe you need to do a convention when your wife gets better with her knee, and try to find a 1-day show to do. Maybe that's the ticket.
That would be. I mean, and my wife will tell you that I always, I say, go on the show, go on the show. And then I get to the show and I'm like,
Right.
yeah. And then,
Exactly.
like you said, after the show, I'm like, yeah, now I'm going to go, I'm going to do all this stuff. So,
Right.
and then she, we're back home. She's like, I thought you didn't want to go.
Yeah, of course, they got to get their, they got to rub it in a little, right?
Yeah,
They can't admit when we're
exactly.
right.
Exactly. So yeah, you're right. That does, that kind of communal, that kind of sense of community really does help impact one's view a lot of time, and their motivation and their inspiration, and I mean all kinds of things depending on the person. Everyone's different, but for me, I would go in and I would just be blown away by all the new work out there. That would be my thing.
Right.
I might actually be intimidated more than inspired.
Well, I've thought a lot about that too because I told you I'm trying to learn, draw a little bit. And,
Hmm.
you know, but even you said it earlier, there's so many different styles now. There's so many
Yeah.
different, everybody, it doesn't matter, right? Like, you
Right.
can't compare yourself to, you know, other people's work because everybody has their own taste. I think I saw this somewhere recently. It's like, if you took 100 people to an art museum and said, everybody stand in front of the best artist, best painting in the museum, there'll be some crossover, but not everybody's going to stand at one painting. It's what
Right.
speaks to that individual, right?
Right. No, you're
So,
right. Yeah.
you know, so I'm trying to like keep that mindset, that positive mindset of not comparing myself to, Ron Garney, that I've hanging on my wall, or even
Hmm.
Mike, with all his covers that he did, and Colin and Jack Kirby, right? Like, I can't compare myself to them. I can just do my style and my thing, and just somebody will like it.
Yeah. I mean, that's the hardest pill for me to swallow, is the comparison thing, and that somebody will like it. I could preach it all the day, but then it still just eats at me.
Right.
when I'm up to bat, then it's like, practice what you preach, Jimmy. Practice what you preach. I'm like, no, no, I suck.
Well, hey, Kate Windles, your fellow creator with Invader, I told her something similar. She told me to shut up. She
It's
goes,
true.
"Shut up, dude! You wrote something. You created something."
Exactly. No, the 100%. And that's what I was saying earlier. You did it.
Did
You know that puts you in a whole different class.
right,
That really, anyway, and I've said that about anybody. I remember, who was it? I was at a convention once, and somebody came up and they had their book, and it was all this, that, and the other, and they're showing it to me. And my booth neighbor, the guy next to me in their booth, because the same kid was showing his work all the way down the line to all the different artists. And when the kid left, the guy next to me leaned over and said, "Man, that guy, he really has a long way to go. That book sucked." And I was like, "What?" I said, that book is done. That's not a book that sucks. That's a book that's done. There's a complete difference in that.
right.
You are not getting it, dude. Because he's like, "Why are you so nice to him and stuff?" It's like, that book sucked. I'm like, "No, are you crazy?"
He did it,
He
right,
freaking did it. He's in a different class. He's in the same level we are, just in a different seat.
right, 100%,
He's a guy who did a book and got it printed, and he's now showing it around to people. He doesn't
that's
have a couple
awesome,
of sketches in a sketchbook. This kid is.
right? Got to
He
complete a
had a
book,
whole. Yeah, he wrote the story, drew the story, illustrated it, and like you and your daughter went and had it printed and all that stuff. It's like, no, that's a different level of commitment, my friend. That's not just drawn anymore. That's production. That's
right,
fulfillment. You can't
100%,
just, yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, I always remember that guy leaning over and saying that to me, and I'm like, dude, you're not helping. in my
right,
mind, I'm saying, dude, you're not. Some guy, I remember, I liked his book. It was cool. I didn't read his book or anything, but I liked what he was doing in his book. And then, how it is. Sometimes you meet people and you don't expect certain things out of them, and or they surprise you with, really? You're a
Yeah.
racist?
Don't right.
Or whatever, you're a
Somebody's gonna
homophobe?
clip
Really?
that. Somebody's gonna clip that, and they're gonna make me out to be look like a racist. You're a racist. Great. That's gonna be in the world now. Thanks a lot. No.
No. AJ is very cool.
That's
No.
fantastic. So give people like the quick pitch on artillery with the trade coming out and back the Kickstarter. Give the quick overview of that.
Yeah, Invader Comics has the Kickstarter for the full collected trade of artillery. Comes with all the bonuses and extra materials and cool level tiers and stuff that you can only get from them. And we're basically talking, about current events nowadays, because we're talking about AI, we're talking about art, we're talking about ownership of your art, and it's all done in this cool supernatural urban magic kind of way about these three artists who are getting magical powers through their art to fight back against AI that's stealing creativity from the world. And so they're going to steal it back. So
Love
it's
it.
kind of a heist book at the same time, because they have to figure out, how to do it, and how to use their artistic powers to make the heist work. So if you can imagine a graffiti artist, a comic book artist, and a special effects movie artist all together, just creating this really fun little Ocean's 11 kind of a thing going on, but against
Perfect.
AI.
And I think it just launched, I think yesterday. So
I think so. Yeah, I think it just is either going to be today or yesterday. Yes, and this is exciting for me because I've never done a Kickstarter. You did a
I
Kickstarter,
did. I did.
yeah.
It went
So
okay. I was impressed.
yeah,
Um
I'm telling you, man, they got to put you in a class above me.
I
No,
wouldn't go
seriously,
that
dude.
far.
Dude, no, seriously. I've never done a Kickstarter. I've always been scared to do a Kickstarter.
Well,
Literally scared.
I was scared too, and I dabbled with a Kickstarter years ago for the gaming stuff that I was doing, and it didn't
Right.
do good, but I learned a lot from that years ago, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of research, just talking with people that have done them, right, on here. What's your advice for Kickstarter? What do you want to do? Just reading everybody's Kickstarter, just seeing what they're offering in different tiers. And,
Right.
even Invader's done a really good job, I think, with the way they set theirs up. Um, I love having like a retailer bundle, right? That's a cool
Right.
feature to me, because
Mm-hmm.
coming from the world of owning a store, I hated board games that were on Kickstarter because people wanted them and I couldn't sell them, right? Because they were on Kickstarter. But
Right.
then people started, realizing that, and they would offer a retailer bundle so you could buy 5 games at half off, right? If you're a retailer. And so I could sell them then, right?
Right. Right.
Um so I did that with mine. Now I'm doing a lot of research because I want to do this. I told you I want to do this little documentary, probably a 30-minute documentary, maybe 45 minutes. And I'm thinking about kickstarting it. Like that's how I want to get it out. Like sell like a $10, like a movie ticket to get a copy of you get a
I like
copy
it.
of the video, you know, get your ticket to see this documentary and maybe has some cool upgrades. Like somebody yesterday told me I should do a popcorn bucket. That's the big thing nowadays, popcorn buckets. So maybe I can find some like, custom popcorn and popcorn buckets to mail people.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of
Those
cool.
yeah,
Uh,
those kind of things make the difference. They really do. Yeah, they
so
they
I'm
really
just,
do.
I think the one thing, because I was still scared to death, right? Because I
Mm-hmm.
set my bar, my goal to like $500. Like I can get up to $500, right? So, and we ended up doing 1,000, which
Mm-hmm.
just over, so not too bad. Um, some people said, well, you should have had your goal higher, you would have made more. I'm like, yeah, well, I could have set the goal higher and not made it at all. So,
Exactly. Exactly.
I still don't know what the right answer is on that.
Right. Right.
Would I love to done more? Yeah, of course. But again, to me, it was a finished product. I
Right.
have them sitting here, in comic boxes and hanging up behind me now. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't going for a goal to like complete the project. I was going to a goal just to share the project.
Thank
Right? 'Cause,
you. Thank
right?
you.
Because I
Right.
was I've already spent the money on the book. Right
Mm,
now, would it be awesome to recoup all that money in the Kickstarter or use that money to, fund the next one? Absolutely. But at the same time, I wanted to share it, not
right.
sell it, I guess
Exactly. And you got it done. I mean, I
Yep.
swear, man, that's how it's been all through my comics career. It's like, I'm not going to make money, but you know what? I'm going to get out there and get it done and learn from it so I can do the next one. Because I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm
100%.
going to be learning from you and all this stuff. It's, I'm learning from everyone. I'm going to learn from Invader. I mean, everyone is, it's an avenue worth taking, and I don't know why I haven't taken it, because I had a book that was all done. I could have did
Right.
that myself.
Yeah.
I don't know why I didn't do it. I'm telling you, like, it's probably because I was scared.
Well, yeah,
And I was doing other books. I'm like, well, I got this other book to do, so I'm doing that.
well, that and the marketing. I mean, you got to put out the videos every day, the TikToks
Mm,
and the reels,
mm,
it's like nobody's going to know who AJ and Talking Comics is, if I don't say it, right? If I don't tell people. So,
right, right, right.
nobody's
Yeah.
out there searching for me. Yeah, well, I hope. you know.
Vanity. Well,
But well,
I
Jimmie,
like
thank
it.
you so much.
Yeah.
Please go back to Kickstarter. I'll have links and all that below. I don't know exactly when this will release, but it'll release during the Kickstarter at some point. So
Hmm.
go back to Kickstarter, go check it out, support Jimmie. We're all gonna get Jimmie to a convention, get his motivation back. And
Yeah. If I go on.
I'll just say thanks so much for being here again.
Yeah, and if I can get out to Charlotte, man, you and I are hanging out, man.
Yes, absolutely. So we will make that happen.
Right
Thanks,
on.
Jimmie,
I
for
like
hanging
it.
out with me again.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Talking Comics Podcast, powered by Aquadio Media, helping creators make waves.